Hello guys, welcome to part 3 of my Angular+Electron series, and in this video I'm going to talk about the IPC main, so interprocess communication between the renderer, that is Angular, and the main JS, that is the Electron part, and then we are going to discuss about cookies. Before going forward, I have one question or one or more queries regarding this tutorial. So first of all, thanks Rajat Mittal for watching my video, and I get that you're when you hit F5 then you are unable to uh, uh, basically you're getting a blank screen once you refresh the app. Okay, so the guess that I can make from without seeing the code is that there are two things that you can take a look at. First of all is your ng build process. So if I can show you package.json in my case. So where is my package.json? There we go, package.json, and here you can see my build command. So I'm using base href equals to dot slash. So I have mentioned this in the first video as well, and there I believe there is a description of that in that video, and you can refer this, you can take a look at this thing in your case. And another part that you can do is if you're watching this video and you're following this video, then probably it will not work considering the changes in the Angular and Electron.js. So earlier it was something else, and now do I have it over here? No. So now it is something else. So now if you are trying to show the Angular app in Electron, so you're using probably dist, and in this video I'm using get current directory or functions like that. But in the current versions that I'm using, it's really simple. As you can see, I'm going to electron main.js. So this is my main.js file for Electron, and this is how now you can load simply your Angular application. Okay, so yeah, that's all about this. If you have any other issues or queries, then you can definitely post it on my video. I will happy to help. Another thing, I got one query regarding the cookies and saving the state in terms of Electron and Angular, and that is the topic for this video that I'm going to cover. Okay, so let's jump in. First of all, let's try to understand what we are trying to achieve. So I will just show you the executable that I created, and yeah, so I will show you the end product, and then I will show you what changes I made in the part 2 of the repository. So if you're following me, then you can just go ahead to my this GitHub link that I've posted in the part 2 of this video series, and then you can clone this project and you can get started with me. Okay, or you can just take part 3, so you can have the code right away ready with you. Okay, so that's all about it, and I will show you what I did. So earlier in part 1 and part 2, I just used the same bare minimum Angular application that is generated by Angular CLI. In this part 3, I have made a couple of changes to that. So I removed the template code that Angular CLI gives us basically while doing ng build or ng create, or I believe ng new, not create. Okay, so yeah, so I've modified that. I have added one component, and basically let's take a look at it right away. So you can see over here, so this is the simple app that I have created. So if I just take my username right over there, so this is my username, GitHub username for this, and this is how it is. So I click on update. So basically what this functionality is going to do, this is called cookie setter. So I will enter the GitHub username and I will hit update, and you can see the data related to that user. So this is the data that I'm getting by calling the GitHub API, by using the GitHub API and passing this username over there. Okay, so not only that, since it is a cookie setter, so it will also set a cookie in memory in session, and that cookie will be persisted. Okay, so basically I have assigned a really long expiration date. So if I just reload this thing, so this is the show cookie functionality, where you can see the in-memory cookie. So you can see over here, so this is how the cookie object looks like, and all I'm storing is this simple string. Okay, now here's the thing, this is Angular code, and in order to save this cookie in this session, and when I just relaunch the application just like that, I want this to be automatically fetched in from memory on init functionality, and I want the data to be displayed. So every time I update this cookie or this username, I want that to be saved in memory. and that's what we are going to achieve. So for this I'm using currently two things that I showed you earlier. So one is the cookies API from Electron, and another is the IPC main. Now IPC main is the awesome thing that Electron provides, and basically what we are going to do is our Angular is our renderer process and our Electron is our main process that they call it, okay, or you can call it Electron process. And basically we are going to create a channel, and you can think of a channel as an event or any string in the most simplest word, okay, and then you will publish an object on the channel, and then you will get something as output from the channel, okay, from the event call, okay. So yeah, that's all about it. So that's all about IPC main. So I have used this thing to send the data from Angular. For example, I'm sending this where my app is, okay, so no, not this one, let me just, yeah, this one. So basically from Angular I'm sending this username, okay, this is the UI, and I'm sending it to IPC main, where sending it to Electron basically, and there it will be stored in the cookie using Electron cookie API, okay. And whenever I launch the app, when I close and reopen the app, it will make a request to get this cookie object, and if it is able to get this cookie object, then it will render it directly over here. So let me just show you that one more time. So let's say if there is a username Mike, I think probably there will be. So this is the Mike user, and I have clicked on update. So as I told you, I have implemented the code like whenever I click on update, then the cookie will be updated. So if I just reload this thing, you can see the memory or the session cookie is updated, and if I just relaunch the application one more time, then it will be persisted. So next time I will be having the screen like Mike. So in scenarios where you have a really small data, not frequently changing data, but you want to store something like the default theme that user want to set, or something like that, then you can basically use this approach. But again, I'm beginner in this web or JavaScript world, guys, so if you feel like I'm doing something wrong, please do let me know in the comments. But with that being said, let's get started and let's see what changes do I have to make to get this thing working, okay. So let's get started. So if you are not if I know that if you are new to this, then you can just follow this URL, and where I will be releasing multiple tutorials based on tag. So I've already released 2 tags, which is 1 and 2. So in 1 I just show you how you can run Angular and Electron application side by side in using the same folder structure, or basically how you can integrate both of them. So this is really simple. This is the first step, that you have to create a project, and then in these both 2 cases, as I said, I'm using the same Angular code that is generated by CLI, and in the third tag I will be publishing the code that I have created over here for that GitHub thing that I just showed you earlier. So that's all. So with that being said, let's see what are the changes. So you can take the tag 2, okay. So this is the tag 2, where you have the code and you have the packager as well to build the application for Windows, Mac and Linux, okay. And the third tag is what I'm going to explain you right now. So let's go back to VS Code and let's see other changes. So these are the changes that I have made in the tag 2 basically, so in order to achieve that app that we just saw earlier, okay. So first of all, it's really easy, not that difficult. So you can see this Electron cookie test component. So 1, 2, 3, 4, four of these files are the same component, referring the same component, okay. So I'm going to come to these files later. So let's first of all take a look at Ipc service. So I've created a Ipc service to basically talk with Electron and basically or deal with inter-process communication that we have, okay. And then I have this Electron cookie test component to test those settings with the cookie and the IPC calls, okay. Apart from that, since I'm using the GitHub API to populate the data from the GitHub, and for that I need HTTP module. So in app.module I basically added this HTTP module HTTP client module, and this is the electron cookie test component that I have generated. Okay. Okay, so app.module is done. In app.component, I just moved the template code that is generated by Angular CLI, and I replaced it with my component app electron cookie test. This is my component tag name. Okay, and this is my README. So I just added a couple of things in the README, like useful link sections. That's all. And package.json, that's okay. I just got upgraded to new Electron version. And electron main.js. So this is where the actual code resides, so I'm just going to come to this later. So we'll first take a look at the changes that I did on the Angular side, and then we'll take a look at the changes. This is because the only one file is there in case of Electron, so we'll see this at the last. Okay, so let's take a look at the Ipc Test Service. So let me just so this is our spec file, so this is just a test case, and this is the service. Okay, and here you can see the changes. So let me just show you in normal mode. So this is my service. Okay, so alright, take a look. Okay, so in this service, you can see this is the first line. Okay, 3 and 4. Take a look at this. So we need Electron, okay, in order to use that Ipc render objects, okay, that are part of the Electron package. But in case of Angular, when we are dealing with the only UI part, then we don't have Electron. Okay, we'll get this once we are inside the Electron applications. So if you just try to do it like this, npm start, or if you try to do it ngserve, it will fail. So in that case, what you can do is you can just have this constant declare over here. Okay, and in the constructor you don't have to do anything. So I should have actually commented out this code because I'm not using any calls over here, and this way you can still do npm start over there. So I can sorry about that. So I can just say that currently I only want to work with the UI, and then I can start the server, and I will go over here and refresh this thing. So it will be done in a minute. Yeah, it's done, and you can see the UI over here. Even though in the console you will get some errors, but just ignore them, because once your UI is within the Angular application, then all things come together and you will not be having any issues like this. Okay, so that's all. So don't worry about those things, but yeah, that's why I just commented out this thing. So in case you want to work with that, then this is how you can do it. Okay, now let's assume that your UI is already in place, your service is already in place. Then you don't need to run this like this. You can just build the application and test it out in the Electron itself. Okay, so this is how it is. So in line number 4, what I'm trying to do is I want to get an Electron object. Okay, if I just write it down directly, okay, and if I just try to use Electron, I will get issues, and Typescript will yell at me and it will not allow me to compile the files. Okay, so I want to compile the files, so that's why I am using this trick, any of window. So I'm going to get an Electron from the window object once I'm inside the Electron. So this is how it is, and since it is any of window and it will be decided at runtime, so Typescript is not going to yell at me regarding the types and the object types. Okay, so that's about it, and yeah, I mean that's about it. So these are about the top 2 lines. This is really important. Apart from that, the service is pretty simple and easy. You can see over here I have this test functionality to test this async function that I created, and by the way, this function is exactly like you saw it will be seeing on the Ipc main blog. So I just copied this function in order to test the asynchronous messages, but since I don't need asynchronous messages in the use case that I'm having, the GitHub app that I showed you, so that's why I'm going with synchronous messages in below. Okay, but just to tell you in a brief, so this is how it works. So I'm taking Electron object, and I'm taking IPC render from that, and I'm saying that on this channel, okay, whatever the event you get, and this event will be, this is a return call, so this is, you know, kind of a subscription call, you can see, in case of asynchronous. So on this channel, whatever the electron side posts or electron sides sends, so this, the implementation will be in electron main.js for that. But here what we are saying that when this event occurs, whatever the output of that event, that will be stored in arg, and then I'm just storing that async result in this object. Okay, and this is for the subscription. Now for the sending the data, so this, when you see this code, then this is basically representing the data from main towards your render process, that is Angular. Okay, so here main, or I will say electron, towards Angular. Okay, this is for that. And the other way around is this one, so this is from Angular to main, or Angular to electron. Okay, that's exactly what the documentation said over there. In the main process, you have to use this for synchronous and this for asynchronous, this for asynchronous and this for synchronous, and in the render process or in the Angular, you have to use this code. Okay, so this is what I showed you earlier. So I'm currently in the renderer, so I'm using this code for synchronous messages, and you can see I'm using this code for asynchronous messages. Okay, like that. Now you may ask me why I'm using the code that is supposed to be in the I don't know, okay, yeah, so you can ask me why I'm using this asynchronous message over here. This is because, you know, it is sending the data. So you can see over here, if you have to send, we can use this in render process. And oh, sorry, I got confused. Sorry about that. I'm using all those things over there, so that's what I'm going to tell you. It is in the electron main.js. I was in the TS file only. So here you can see IPC main on. So whenever you have this on call, okay, IPC main on, or this one as well, so you can see it over here. The on call goes in the main process, but it's not really on, right? So it's this entire structure, because we do have on call over here in case of asynchronous reply. Okay, so this is what it is. So in this case, let's take a look at this. What IPC main, or how it does, is that in the main process we will be creating an object IPC main, and we are saying that create a channel named this. So it can be any string. Okay, and when we say sending a message, the event name is the channel. Okay, and how the electron differentiate between the asynchronous and synchronous is based on the return type or the reply. So if you're using event.reply in IPC main.on function, then it is a sync operation. If you're using event.return value, then it is a sync operation. So that's all you have to know in case of main.js. Now coming back to render process, so this is what exactly we did in electron in Angular. So this is what we did in Angular, the first line, and then we say that to get the synchronous message result. Okay, so what we are trying to do here is we are trying to send a synchronous message on this channel with this value. Okay, and that's what I'm doing. So here if you see, I'm trying to send a synchronous message for set cookie sync on this channel with this cookie object. Okay, so I'm basically sending a synchronous message. So you can see send sync, the channel name is this, and the data I'm going to pass is the cookie object. Okay, that is basically the cookie object that I showed you in the browser earlier, in the app earlier. Okay, on the same note, I have this get cookie object as well in the IPC service, and here also I'm sending a filter, or the cookie filter and object to this channel basically. Okay, So that's all. If in case of asynchronous, how we do it is this way. So you can see it over here. Okay, so we use ipc.asynchronous reply. So you can see over here asynchronous reply. So I added this in the constructor. So here the data will be coming from Electron to Angular. Okay, and you can see over here prints this arg message. So this is what the data that Angular will be publishing back. In this case, whatever let's say I pass this is for the sending of the data. So if I pass, let's say, username Mike, then I will be getting hello Mike over here. So I can implement something like that. And in order to implement that, I just have to go over here, and I'm saying that in asynchronous message, whatever the arg you get, I want to reply with hello appended as a prefix to that argument, and now I'll be getting hello Mike over here always. So whenever I call this test function with some value, I will get over here I will get this hello prefixed to that value, and then I'm just setting this over there. But this is all async. Now let's not worry about this right now. Let's stick to the cookies problem. So what we want to achieve is I want to send this username, okay, and I want to save it in a cookie, so that later I can restore my app state whenever I relaunch the app again. Okay, for that, I told you earlier, I'm just sending the cookie object, and I'm creating this in the component. Okay, so that's all. So let's take a look at component. So if I just go back over here, and this is my component. So let's take a look at CSS. So CSS I use is pretty simple. I have this my text area in order to show the proper JSON, and I have this image border, so to show the logo of the GitHub profile logo image. Okay, so that's all about the CSS. Let's take a look at HTML. Now this is a pretty simple HTML. Firstly, we have a cookie setter heading, and then here we just have one input box where we use GitHub username, or where we will be entering GitHub username, and on click function we'll call update method. Okay, and we have this output section, and here I'm binding the image that we saw earlier, the GitHub user profile image, and I'm showing the object that GitHub API returns us. Okay, and here in the show cookie, again I've created this show cookie function, which will get the current state of the cookie based on the username. Okay, so whatever I have in this text box. That's all about the HTML. Then let's quickly take a look at the Typescript file. So I have this show cookie function. So let's come sequentially. So I have this API endpoint over here. This is the GitHub API endpoint, and I also I don't need this right now. I also need HTTP client to request to the GitHub API. Okay, and I'm having this properties to bind with the UI. So username will be our input box, output will be our JSON object, avatar URL is the image URL of the GitHub profile, and then cookie data is something that we'll be getting once we have the cookie stored. Okay, now in the constructor it's really simple. I don't have anything. I'm just having an instance of Electron Ipc Test Service, and this is the service object, and then HTTP. Okay, in the load data I'm just calling GitHub API and passing the user whatever the user username is, and if no use initially there will be no username, so I'm just passing this hard-coded string, which is username of my GitHub profile. Okay, and this will be populated. So this is the load data function. So whenever we have to update it, we will call this load data function. It will internally call to GitHub API and get the data for us and set it in this properties. Okay, pretty simple. And in update method, what I'm doing is, this is basically the method when I click on the update button, and then I'm getting the value from the HTML input element. Okay, and I'm saying that I want to I'm loading the data based on that value, and I'm creating a cookie object as soon as I click on update. So take a look at this. So I'm using the service.set cookie function, and I'm just passing this cookie object. Now if you take a look at this, so these are some details which are optional. All of these are optional. All we need is to save is this name username, because we are getting the cookie based on that, and we have to have the value filled because this is the username that will be saved, and we also have to have expiration date. So this is what I talked to you about earlier. So if you have if you didn't give this, then the cookie will be available till session, and when you relaunch the app, it will be going back to, in my case, it will be going back to this site enthusiast user. Okay, so I'm just putting a very long number so that the data will be persisted till the time. Okay, so that's all about the update method. Then on init, what I'm going to do, I'm trying to get a cookie which is having this kind of filter. So all the cookies having the name equals to username, I will be getting this in here. And if I get some cookies, then I'm just interested in whatever the first cookie is, and I'm just getting the value of that, and I'm assigning the value to the username, and I'm passing it to load data function, so it will be reflected. So this is on init method, and the show cookie method is again pretty simple. I'm just getting the cookie again, and I'm displaying it by converting it to JSON and displaying it in the text area. So that's all about the Angular part, guys. Now let's come back to actual service again, and here I already actually showed you this earlier, but let me just open it from the normal view. And here this is the normal application. I just added these methods, as I said. Now let's not worry about these methods. These are just, you know, sample methods I copied from the Angular. Let's take a look at get cookie sync and set cookie sync. So first of all, get cookie sync. So in get cookie sync, I will be having event and arg, and in argument basically I will be having my filter. So this is the Angular API, the Electron cookie API. So if you take a look at this, then we just have that exact same API over here. So you can just refer to this. I'm using exact same thing. The only thing I changed was instead of they're using it the console.log, instead of that I used event.return value because I want to return it. Okay, that's the only change. So you can see exact same function. If I got the cookies, then I'm assigning to event.return value. So this is how the get cookie sync will work, and this is how the set cookie function will work. So I'm passing the cookie object, and I'm just, you know, returning the true or false based on that. So that's all about it. So yeah, so I will be having a third tag based on this video. If you have any questions or issues with this, let me know in the comments below. I will be happy to help, and thanks for watching, guys. Thank you. Bye.